It's not much of a walk to find the Mahtomedi Gymnasium, and you don't have to look far to find some high-intensity girls basketball action. It's a 4-3A section rivalry game, the Mahtomedi Zephyrs and the DeLaSalle Islanders. I'm Mike Peden, and this matchup took on some different connotations a year ago when both schools were battling for seeding in section 4-3A. This year, the metrics would favor DeLaSalle in this matchup. Mahtomedi graduated a lot of talent a year ago, and then you know about Sarah Popar transferring over to Hill Murray. So the group they have in place, a lot younger and not as much experience. So for Anisha Fisher and her crew, they'll certainly welcome the win, but they are focused on the process as well as the outcome. For DeLaSalle, they also had to navigate new terrain after their point guard wonder, known as Anisha Scott, graduated. She's playing Division I at Richmond now. And throughout the season, health and the search for a point guard has been the challenge for the Islanders. Zephyrs get the first possession as we're underway. Mahtomedi starting Rena Becker, Delaney Dummermuth, Lucy Peer, Grace Prose, and Berkeley Blaisdell. Prose, the woman to watch, has a couple of 30-point games to her credit. But there is a drive and a flip for Dummermuth. Pros will need a big game, I suspect, but the role players from Mahtomedi, who have struggled a bit this year, if they can find a way to step up, they can make a run at the Islanders. The starters for DeLaSalle: Layla Moses, Samira Taylor, Maddie Blaylark, Isa Griefenhagen, and Anaya Shafa. Blaylark was one of several guards who was out at the start of the year, and they've had a hard time keeping their guards healthy at times. They did lose Mackenzie Spading to an ACL injury. This is Layla Moses. DeLaSalle doesn't have that runaway explosive score like they did last year. Anisha Scott was the floor general without question. This year, it's being done more by committee as Moses completes the free throws. She averages 15 a game. Shafa, 14.4. Isa Griefenhagen, she can give you a 3 or 2, averaging 10.1. Maddie Blaylark in her return, 8.7. Samira Taylor, 8.6. Griefenhagen with the steal, locates Shafa down court. The Islanders pick up the first field goal as they put on the press already. Mahtomedi with an early turnover. We're having some technical snafus, so we don't have our score bug up yet. It is 4-2, 17:08 left in the first half. I'll keep you posted until we get that up to speed. You know how technology is? They're like cats. Sometimes they only work when they want to, and they don't care about your feelings. Cross-court pass tipped and taken away by Grace Prose. Grace battling Moses, fires the fadeaway and hits. That ties it up at 4. Shafa backs off. Anaya played her first couple of years at Park Center. Before making the move to DeLaSalle, Isa Griefenhagen came over from Minnehaha Academy. Another takeaway. Turnovers have been a bugaboo, an obstacle, an Achilles heel for the Islanders this year. I covered them earlier in the season against Orono, and in that one, and this is the case for several of their early season games, they were just committing a series of unforced errors that we weren't accustomed to in the years of Anisha Scott. That does highlight the value of a strong point guard. But DeLaSalle does get the ball back, and Samira Taylor posts up and scores. 6-4, 16:08 left in the first half. Mahtomedi having trouble getting the inbound. Isa Griefenhagen collects the deflection. Griefenhagen with a couple of steals already. Moses out to Shafa. DeLaSalle making state the last few years, but they have not gotten out of that first round. Griefenhagen steps into the long 2 and buries it. Isa Griefenhagen, the magnificent creature, leaning into her magic with increasing frequency. And Anaya Shafa casts another spell. It's 10-4, 15-30 as our scoreboard gets back online. This is where DeLaSalle has thrived no matter who's coaching. Ana Garcia, James Fassett. There's a backdoor play, but the layup isn't there for Lucy Peer. Prose rises up and tips the takeaway to herself. Spin move a little too strong. Maddie Blaylark injured her ACL against Oakland Tech last year. I know this because I covered that game. The southpaw fires the three and connects. All 5 starters have scored for the Islanders, 13-4. Prose zooming down court. That's Blaisdell, I should say. Berkeley dealt with illness the last time we were here and couldn't play. The junior goes to the line for 2. One of the leaders for Mahtomedi this year. Averaging 10.3 a game. It was a rough start for the Zephyrs as well, as Blaisdell splits at the line. They lost their first 5 games and have struggled against some of the higher level teams in 3A, including Hill Murray in the conference, 2 Rivers the last time we were here. The kick out, Isa Grievenhagen feeling that long-range stroke. Again, she is a long-range threat, and there's Shafa again, but she can't get the layup this time. DeLaSalle attacking the inbounders. Moses, that will be a jump ball. Islanders with the arrow, but a 16-5 score. Has them chomping. Islanders have a big game on Thursday against Stewartville, who is a likely state tournament contender. DeLaSalle has not lost a game since the start of the calendar year. You have to go back to their battle with Wayzata. They lost their first 4 games. Including Minnehaha Academy in overtime. Blaylark, I thought she was out of bounds, and Prose can't cash in on the other end. These are the mistakes you can't afford if you're Mahtomedi. When you get those fast breaks, you've got to go, because DeLaSalle already proving they can run and gun. This time they complete the fast break sequence, and Grace Prose makes it 16-7. You've got to be real efficient if you're Mahtomedi. Blaylark inside the line, gets the friendly bounce inside the paint, I should say, or the free throw line, either way. Blaisdell finds Caitlin O'Connor. Both teams already making some switches, some tapping into their bench. Blaisdell on the bounce pass, runs it in, can't get the bounce. Rebound ricocheting, Anaya Shafa, another takeaway. Anaya swiping with impunity. Kaya Williams surveying traffic. Moses steps into the runner and knocks down her first field goal. Moses, the junior. Errant pass. Kaya Williams finds Grievenhagen, who makes the extra pass to Moses. And it's 22-7. Going in, the records and the metrics did favor DeLaSalle, and this is one reason why, even though their offense maybe not as fluid as a year ago, that defense real tough to neutralize. As Ita Griefenhagen collects another steal, she and Shafa are going to have a lengthy rap sheet at the end of this one. I didn't realize those were two kleptomaniacs out there. A tip pass leads to a Mahtomedi steal. And the step through won't go down for Lucy Peer, but the 8th grader does draw the foul. She'll shoot 2. The Zephyrs, to give you an idea of where things are at this year, they only have one win streak of 2 games. Anisha Fisher, the head coach of Mahtomedi, I talked to her pre-game, does like the direction they're going, feels they're getting better, even if the records don't necessarily show it. But this is a group, again, that, That, my friends, is the basketball equivalent of the false start. So that second free throw attempt will not count. It missed anyway. Jump ball was called, so Mahtomedi had the arrow, and a push foul was called away from the ball. And it's on DeLaSalle's Layla Moses. Mahtomedi will get another side out. Zephyrs throw it away as Rena Becker was harassed by the DeLaSalle defense. So that second free throw was subsequently ruled a jump ball because everybody jumped the lane, and the officials, I'm guessing, were not able to determine who jumped the line first. That's Onyx Adoko. She's got a lot of length, came over from Osseo a couple of years ago, couldn't play as she had to sit out due to the transfer rule. Not sitting out in that possession, 24-7. Backdoor Adoko swats it away. DeLaSalle enforcing their might, their will at every turn. Rose backs off and resets. O'Connor. Another long 2. This one won't go down. That was Dummermuth. Moses with the rock, barrels in. Kaya Williams with the weak side O-board. 3 on the way, off the heel. Adoko again. Spotted the hole and ran through it. 26-7. And Mahtomedi will use the first timeout. 10:03 left in the first half. This is turning into a DeLaSalle personal playground already. Moses with 6, Blaylark 5, Griefenhagen 5, Adoko 4. As Anisha Fisher, her second year at Mahtomedi. Played her college ball at Culver Stockton after starting at Southwest Minnesota State. And Ana Garcia, no stranger, played her high school ball at Blaine and then finished out at Hopkins. Anisha coincidentally played her high school ball at DeLaSalle last year, faced off against her younger sister. Anaya Shapa facing down everybody without fear. The steal on the run out on her own accord, 28-7 now. Blaisdell can't slip underneath the Doko. She bounces out to Pros. Side fade, the three is there. Shafa. Starting another set. Now Williams lets it fly. Her three is short. And the rebound gathered by Ava Shepik. Pros again. That looks long, and it is. DeLaSalle wants to run. This is Taylor. Double dribble is the call. So last year in this matchup, DeLaSalle won. It was close early on, but Anisha faced off against her younger sister. That would be Taylor Starks. Kyle Williams deflecting it off her leg. It will stay with the Zephyrs. And Anisha had said, even to this day, Taylor still enjoys a playful taunt or two about beating her big sister. Taylor now in Hamlin after playing her high school ball at DeLaSalle. This is Shepik. Idoko with some impressive interior defense. Shutting down the low post. 28-10. And 23 left. Williams. Shepik and Blaisdell were bearing down on her position. Griefenhagen finding Moses on the inbound, but the jumper was long. Moses was contested. Blaisdell keeps the dribble going. Another bump. Caitlin O'Connor trying to run that ball fake. Nearly lost it. Ava Shepik recovers. Mahtomedi once again nowhere to go. Pros 9 to shoot. Had a little more time, but went for it anyway. Loose ball foul. Tag to Mahtomedi. And that second angle, showing you the push off. Hard to argue that foul call. DeLaSalle. This was more evident in the early part of the season, that sloppy passing, the problem with unforced errors. And every high school team goes through this, every college team goes through this as well, unless you're UConn or South Carolina these days. But a lot of the high schoolers, when a top-tier athlete graduates, 6 on the shot clock for Mahtomedi. I'll finish that story in a moment. We have another loose ball as the shot clock is winding down. Jump ball called, DeLaSalle with the arrow. But to finish up that earlier assessment, you can't replace them altogether. Minnehaha Academy going through this after Addie Mack graduated, and then the kicker was Sine Hill, suffering an ACL tear, first game of the year. Anisha Scott, similarly, the engine for the Islanders. And when you have that multifaceted, multi-tool threat who can do so much, finding ways to compensate can take some doing, as DeLaSalle demonstrated at the start of the year. Benilde St. Margaret's, they had 20-plus turnovers. That was a winnable game. Griefenhagen puts a move and lays it in, fading away. I didn't know Isa Griefenhagen had such lateral quickness about her, but she has been working her tail off. Blaisdell draws a slight bump from Schaffa, but doesn't phase her one bit. Still gets the layup to fall. 30-12 though. DeLaSalle still in front by a lot, and they'll hang on to the rock. Another timeout, 6:07 left in the first half. 30-12 our score. DeLaSalle taking the timeout this time. I think we said these two teams familiar with each other, these two coaches familiar with each other, having played the game themselves, and one time suiting up as teammates. We'll explain in a moment. But there was one game where Ana Garcia and Anisha Fisher played on the same team. And their helpers included the likes of Angel Robinson, the Miss Basketball winner from 2007, and Kasheen Alexander, who had a phenomenal career at Iowa. One of the many who thrived before Caitlin Clark. DeLaSalle getting out of a jam. Schaffa missing the mid-range jumper. Mahtomedi wants to go outlet. Blaisdell with the catch, too strong. Another missed bunny. Mahtomedi's had a couple of those. And those are the possessions, like I said, you want to convert. Griefenhagen couldn't get the save, and that's a backcourt violation. The ball was getting poked around a little bit, but that remains the burning question for the Islanders. Give and go, Blaisdell trying to run it. DeLaSalle pokes it out of bounds. And the shot clock grows. Looking to get free. Griefenhagen guarding her. Now Blaylar comes in to help. Mahtomedi throws it away. They were going to run out of time anyway. Solid defense by Griefenhagen, and Isa not exactly diminutive at 5'10", 5'11", somewhere in between. Doesn't play post, but does bring that length. Tried to pass it along to the corner. But Mahtomedi leaves another fast break unclaimed. That's not the only reason Mahtomedi is trailing significantly, but that's something the Zephyrs are going to look at, review, when they have a chance to go over game film. It's these fast breaks that come up empty that are probably the most frustrating aspect of this game so far. DeLaSalle coughs it up one more time. For DeLaSalle, the burning question again, can they work on ball control enough with Hill Murray looming in the section? The Pioneers are the favorite to get the 1 seed in 4-3A. DeLaSalle would be the 2. The two met last year in the section final. Late foul, no, a travel. Griefenhagen giving pros fits, and Idoko with an assist as well. based on QRF, Hill Murray should get the 1 seed. They have a huge edge over DeLaSalle. Although it may lead to some extra motivation for the Islanders as Adoko can't get the point-blank bunny to drop. 3:43 left in the first. Blaisdell charges in. And she was warded off. Adoko, another rebound. Throws it away. Blaisdell wants the 3. In and out. Now Mahtomedi trying to get after it. They do. Pros. Bullseye. Ava Shepik keeping that play alive. And Pros with 10 points. The rest of the team with 5. That's been the story this season. Layla Moses knocks down the elbow J. But that's been the story of this season for Mahtomedi. Grace Pros putting in some solid efforts. Again, a couple of 30-point games, including 37 against Tartan, but not a lot of support to help her out. St. Croix Lutheran dealing with a similar situation this year. Blaisdell trying to collect the back door. And the step through will lead to free throws for Delaney Demermuth. Demermuth, if you weren't with us for our last broadcast, enjoys wake surfing, any lake activity. Of course, there are plenty of opportunities for that. With Mahtomedi on the eastern border of White Bear Lake. Split at the line for Demermuth. 32-16. Williams to Griefenhagen. Now Moses in the corner. Around they go. Griefenhagen's 3 off the rim. Adoko again. She'll go to the line for 2. Adoko does give DeLaSalle one advantage they didn't have a year ago, and that's a stronger post presence. Adoko showing some good form on that free throw motion. As I was saying earlier, there was a rider who pegged DeLaSalle as a long shot to win the section. Well, I certainly understand the reasoning as Adoko will get the Plinko bounce and complete the freebies. I understand the reasoning. DeLaSalle had the slow start in Hill Murray. They've got the flashy sisters and Maya and Ashley Wilson and Sarah Popard boosting their ranks. If DeLaSalle is able to address enough of their ball control issues that plagued them earlier in the year, that might be a closer section final. 6 on the shot clock for the Zephyrs. Shepik goes over her coverage for her first field goal. Blaylark looking for the 3. That rattles out. Looking for some momentum. Blaisdell stays in play, and Pros collects the second chance bucket. Mahtomedi trying to bring more pressure to Adoko. Blaylark looking to pass back out, and the ball's going to come over to me. Well, it's going to go off the table. I nearly had a Kevin Harlan moment. I wanted to say deflected or caught by me, but alas, I was in the wrong position. I misjudged the trajectory. Grievenhagen to inbound it. Finds Shafa. Issa changing numbers this year, wore 3 last season with the Islanders, but 24 became available this year. And Idoko available for another pull-up jumper. For Issa, 24 was the number her brother wore, Josh Jr. And she looked up to him considerably when Josh was playing at White Bear Lake. So Issa finally getting a chance to sport that number herself. Blaisdell having a rough go of it in this first half. 15 on the game clock, shot clock is off. In a game that has belonged to DeLaSalle since the start. Shafa through the hole. Can't get it, and that's going to bring the first half to an end. A strong start for the Islanders. They do taper off a bit, but they still lead considerably. A 16-point margin over Mahtomedi. As we enter halftime, not as much on the line section-wise compared to a year ago, but it can help prepare you for some of those big games in the final 2 weeks of the regular season. We'll have first half stats and analysis. This is high school girls basketball on SEC Sports. Islanders lead the Zephyrs by 16.
Calling all big thinkers. The world's climate is changing. These aren't new facts, but it means we must think in new ways. Engineers are answering the call to create solutions that decrease our dependence on fossil fuels, taking lessons from the best engineer out there, nature. Engineers are creating cleaner, safer, and reliable energy.
My dad showcased a sense of love that I never had before. It felt like it was something that I've always wanted. I mean, he's not only my parent, like he's like my best friend.
Learn about adopting a teen at adoptuskids.org.
(36-20), second half about to start, in a game that DeLaSalle has dominated since the beginning. We'll take a look at some of those first half highlights, and that's a big reason for DeLaSalle's success. That stingy, choking defense that led to some outlets early on, including Issa Grievenhagen to Anaya Shafa. Maddie Blaylark, just one three-pointer, but she is a sharpshooter. Back from injury, Issa Grievenhagen says, I can knock down threes too. Grievenhagen was 7. Mahtomedi getting a few plays in there as the second half is starting. But like many games this season, Grace Bros with 12 points, the rest of the team just 8. That has been the story for Mahtomedi. Just not a lot of support to help out Grace Bros. And at this level, you do need a couple of playmakers to make a serious run. 10 on the shot clock. The runner finds its way in the rim for Delaney Demermuth. Blaylark, 3-ball, corner pocket. She's got 8. Moses and Idoko leading the Islanders in the first half with 8, but well, Mahtomedi, most of their scoring has come from one source as Blaisdell has her dribble deflected away. DeLaSalle getting plenty of support all around. Like we said, when you look at the numbers, the Islanders don't have that single explosive scorer who steers the ship. They get it done by committee. Demermuth through traffic, thought she was going to go in, but maybe she didn't recognize it or wasn't too sure about it. Does find a backdoor option, And Lucy Pierce, she misses and then goes into the sea of DeLaSalle trees. Shafa races in and lays it in. Anaya with 8, 41-22. And nearly added another steal to a growing stat line. DeLaSalle, they have one more serious test, and it comes on Thursday with Stewartville. I looked ahead to the rest of their schedule in the Tri-Metro. The Islanders, not unlike Hill Murray in the Metro East, at least this year, they haven't had much competition in the Tri-Metro in some time. They took care of Richfield. Taylor caught a little arm on Lucy Pierre. They swept Richfield. There was a second meeting with Holy Angels scheduled, but it appears that will not happen. They could not agree on a makeup date. And the rest of the conference just doesn't have the depth of the personnel. Pierce at the line did not score in the first half. For the Zephyrs, they have North St. Paul and Two Rivers. North St. Paul on Friday. That should be a winnable game. The Polars just one victory this year. DeLaSalle jumping the line. And Mahtomedi will play Two Rivers again on Tuesday. We'll be at White Bear Lake that night for girls basketball with Roseville. And then end the regular season with Hill Murray. So maybe another win or two for the Zephyrs. As they try to build their way forward. Here's Blaylark. Throws it away. Maddie started her varsity ball at Washburn, I should point out, before coming over to DeLaSalle. But Mahtomedi looking to take the circular path inside. Pierre will go back to the line after drawing the foul on Griefenhagen. 41-23. And you see the tail end of the foul call. Pierce split her last time up just a moment ago. Averaging 3.5 per game. I should add one piece of context as Pierre misses the free throws. Blaisdell and Demermuth do average about 10 a game, but it's going to be getting the rest of the Zephyrs outside of pros up to speed, up to specs. And that may happen next year with another year of experience. As we noted before, they have some younger faces on this roster. Lucy Pierre, the 8th grader. They also have a 7th grader, Mira Nelson, who we've seen from time to time. There's the 8th grader. This is the layup. Griefenhagen slings the outlet to Moses. Taylor there for the O-board. Griefenhagen lost the handle. Mahtomedi doesn't have the numbers. Pierre will pull up from about 16. That flanks off the iron. Eddie Blaylark moves in for the board. Blaylark doing a little spin move. 3 on the way, short. Battle for the rebound, won by Rena Becker. Griefenhagen trying to track her down. Finds Pierre, in and out it goes. Moses wants to go coast to coast. Held up by Blaisdell. It's not too prevalent on screen, but it is pink out night at Mahtomedi, a bake sale near the entrance to the arena, with proceeds going toward breast cancer initiatives. That's Shafa, the runner. Sailed left. Rebound still unclaimed. Mahtomedi fell on it in time. And Anisha Fisher getting the timeout call to get her team out of a jam. 14-18 left in the second half. 41-23. As we teased in the first half, there was a time when Anisha Fisher and Ana Garcia were teammates back in 2007. She was Anisha Starks at the time, Ana Garcia keeping her name. Both are parents now. The Inner City All-Star Classic, for those of you who remember that event, it was designed to provide a platform, a spotlight to athletes of color. It began in '94 after members of St. Agnes and Washburn weren't featured in the Coach Association All-Star Series, but Anisha Starks, again, played her high school ball at DeLaSalle. Ana Garcia finished out at Hopkins alongside her sister Alexis. They were on the same team, and they forgot about that. There's Anisha now, and I'd say she hasn't aged a day, and neither has Ana Garcia. Me, on the other hand, I've aged about 40 years. But it's a reminder that these players you see on the court, Anisha and Ana, were once in their position. It is fun to go back. The Inner City All-Star Classic, as we take a look at the foul call on the Islanders. It will go to Moses, her third, but DeLaSalle not in any big trouble here. But the Inner City All-Star Classic, it featured some top players as Grace Prose buries another three. Garcia and Starks in that Inner City All-Star Classic, like we said. Angel Robinson and Kasheen Alexander were two of their teammates in that event. Jump ball, Mahtomedi. They haven't been able to make a run at DeLaSalle, but they haven't allowed them to blow this game open either. Udoko has the positioning, but threw up a couple of sloppy looks. The first one was short, the second one well offline. Prose, the fadeaway, gets another friendly roll, and Grace Prose doing everything she can. I'm really excited to see what Grace will do next year as a senior, and if they can get Mahtomedi, that is, DeLaSalle, another turnover. This could be the opening Mahtomedi has been seeking throughout this game. Dummermuth on the dribble drive. 13 on the shot clock. Prose working the wing. Leads it inside to Dummermuth, who's fouled by Udoko. That's just her first, but that does bail out Mahtomedi in a way. Dummermuth got open for a moment, but couldn't lay it in. Spun past Udoko. And now a foul on Blaisdell, just her second, against Blaylark. Blaylark to Udoko. The high-low, Udoko was uncovered. O'Connor used up the dribble, finds a cutting Prose, but Udoko was there. Couldn't scoop up the loose ball. So Mahtomedi will hang on to it. 12:20 left in the second. Pros. A call for traveling, and from here, I'm kitty corner courtside. You could see the extra step or two she took as she tried to put on the brakes to no success. Blaylark, cross court. The turnovers starting to pile up for the Islanders. Kaya Williams reaches in and slaps the ball away from Pros. Side out for Mahtomedi. Hard to tell if there was contact or not, but a stop for Williams. And any opponent of Mahtomedi knows Grace Pros can hit from just about anywhere. I was going to say, if you put pressure on her, that usually is a ticket to success, but Grace Pros, woman in her face, didn't matter one bit. 20 points. Mahtomedi looking for that lifeline. Adoko catches it outside the low post. DeLaSalle just looks a little out of sorts for now until Adoko got free underneath again. More free throws coming for Adoko. Hit her last two. Well, Adoko hasn't been the superstar post presence that was missing from the Islanders' repertoire. You do see the influence she exerts when she's able to get free, brings that 6'2" frame. That's not something DeLaSalle's had a lot of over the last few years. Several years ago, the last time they won state, as Adoko gets the back end, you had some low post threats, although they were more stretch fours, wings. NJ Weems comes to mind, Mary Claire Francois, who's on that DeLaSalle bench. They were members of that 2019 state championship team. Before Nisha Scott and her crew came in. Here's Demermuth. Adoko says enough of this. (44-31), 11:09 left in the second. Pros again. Off the rim. Moses with the rebound. Schaffa to Griefenhagen. Moses out of the high post. Griefenhagen from the corner. Her three offline. Moses got there, but directed it a little too far left. 10:35 to go. DeLaSalle, no stranger to state tournament success. Anisha Fisher, the Mahtomedi head coach, played in the state championship back in 2007. Faith Johnson-Patterson brought a three-peat to the island on Nicolettes. As Adoko looking to bring a mid-range elbow J, can't do so. And then Tanisha Scott won it in 2019 with the Francois sisters, Mary Claire and Nora. Nora ended up switching to a couple of other schools, finished out at Minnetonka, then played college ball initially at New Orleans, playing her final year of college ball at Arizona, and is doing quite well. NJ, now a coach at Central Methodist. Layla Moses reaching out for the steal and the layup. Moses with 10. She's had to work for them, but Another example of how DeLaSalle is able to turn defense to offense, but Grievenhagen, I think, got a little too grabby. Blaisdell. Kickball is the ruling, so we'll go back to the sideline for another Mahtomedi side out. 9:58 left in the second. And the Zephyrs nearly get caught by the 5-second call. It's Pierre, hacked by Taylor. And Lucy has struggled at the line. As we've said this year, not a ton of success on the floor this season. That could change over time. We're back on Thursday. If you're watching this on the SEC channels, we'll be at White Bear Lake for a couple of visits. Boys basketball on Thursday, and then a week from today, girls basketball. Pierre just has not found any kind of success at the free throw line, just one make. It's going to be an intangible I suspect they'll address over the next several years, as Shafa looking for the reverse. Couldn't get enough English. Pierre bounce it to Blaisdell, and it was just a misread. Ten-second call? No, the shot clock. The shot clock had not started. My first instinct was 10. I thought I saw the 10 seconds go up, and I'm thinking, that can't be 10 seconds. Now the clock is working. Those issues have faded over time, now that we've had the shot clock in play for a few years. Adoko to Moses. Too strong. Grievenhagen there for the save. Once again, the passing miscues. I think that is why Hill Murray is seen as a favorite in the section. And while it does appear that Hill Murray and DeLaSalle are poised for another section final rematch, St. Anthony Village is the closest, and DeLaSalle took care of them in the regular season. Taylor lunging after the rebound. Grievenhagen to Moses. This time the hookup succeeds. And Layla goes to the line for a three-point play. Nobody for DeLaSalle this year, going back to their balance, has reached the 30-point mark this season. That happened more often over the last 3 years when you had Anisha Scott running the floor. But the Islanders this year do highlight the difference a floor general makes, as we have another foul. And that is enough to put DeLaSalle in the penalty. As I was saying, DeLaSalle, I can see why they aren't considered the favorite in the section, but it could be a matter of depth between DeLaSalle and Hill Murray, presuming there aren't any upsets along the way. Eva Shepik missing the front end of a 1-and-1. Mahtomedi now 3 of 13. Well, and that's not the only reason they've struggled to give DeLaSalle a scare. That will be a big one. Pros able to keep it in play after the outlet was tipped. Demaruth. Out to Shepik. Idoka with the block, and that will stay Mahtomedi ball. That was a great block by Idoka, and I don't know if you'll see it on that angle. I had a clear shot of it from the broadcaster's table. Idoka's heel just grazed the end line. If her shoe size was one less, she would have had the block and the steal, but I've said this many times, coaches will never fault players for hustle plays. If you end up out of bounds or commit an inadvertent traveling violation, going after a loose ball, making a play, you'll live with that. Pros. Pulls up, got it. Grace Pros with 22. Will it be enough? Slipping in underneath for the finger roll is Anaya Shafa. She's got 10. And some of the students are getting out of harm's way. Again, it's a tight fit here at this Mahtomedi gym. Pros will find a way to make it fit no matter where she is, no matter how much space she has. 25 points. 5 3-pointers, 50-36. I don't know if Mahtomedi will have enough time to climb their way back into contention, but Grace Pros, I really think she would blossom, thrive, if she can find even one teammate who can complement her abilities. Shafa, the runner, short. Mahtomedi regains control. Here's Shepik, the sophomore. They go to Blaisdell through the hole. Berkeley to shoot two. Not exactly a controversial foul there. Anaya Shafa didn't bump into Blaisdell. Berkeley with just 3 points in the first half. And she'll have to settle for a split here. Mahtomedi now 4 of 15 at the line. Again, you wonder, even if a few more of those go in, what that would do for confidence in the course of this game. It doesn't look like we're headed for a runaway, a mercy rule game. Kaya Williams fakes the three. Tried to sling it to Taylor, and another lost ball. And I think that's one reason why DeLaSalle hasn't put a bigger stamp on this one. Early on, they looked flawless, but over the course of this game, just those uncharacteristic, unforced errors that we talked about that plagued them against Orono and Benilde St. Margaret, some of the top teams in Class 3A. Cretin-Durham Hall as well, as Blaisdell wants the three. Battle for the rebound. Dead ball. Islanders. Another member of that state championship run by DeLaSalle in 2019. Another point guard who was just as crafty as Anisha, Keani Lockett, who played her college ball at Creighton. Layla Moses will check in for Kaya Williams. DeLaSalle front-loading their schedule. Although the Minnehaha game came without Sine Hill, that's a foul on Shepik. And then Hopkins and Wyzetta, they don't have to worry about. Those two a bit stronger in athleticism than DeLaSalle is. Stewartville, the number 2 team in 3A, so a win there would give them a huge boost. Maybe not enough to get the 1 seed in 4-3A as Adoko scores, but it would be enough as Griefenhagen trails Blaisdell for the block. A win over Stewartville, and the Islanders could at least strike some doubt into Hill Murray and maybe the rest of 3A that they still belong. And while I haven't seen a ton of DeLaSalle games this season, some of it due to scheduling from other stations, some of it due to weather, Adoko on the floor, so Ana Garcia will use one of her timeouts. DeLaSalle had 4 in there. And Pat Barrett, one of my colleagues from another station, he noted that is one use of a timeout. Every coach has a different approach to it, but using them to save possessions, you never know when that will matter in a close game. Grace Pros, another fantastic performance by the junior. 5 3-pointers. And we've seen her knock down some long jumpers with a woman in her face. She has the fadeaway down. Grace, one of those hidden gems. You look at Mahtomedi's record and you wonder maybe that's why they're not singing her praises as much, but if you're good enough, people will find you. And Pros has that pedigree. She's knocking down the long ball. Good things can happen. 5:03 left in the second half. I did want to get this in there as well. This is my first opportunity since news broke a couple days ago. Ronnie Henderson, a longtime basketball official and graduate of Marshall University High School in Minneapolis, coached by the late Ed Prohofsky, died 2 days ago unexpectedly. Ronnie inducted into the Minnesota High School Basketball Hall of Fame several years ago alongside Ed Prohofsky. And he built a lot of connections, a lot of positive relationships in the time he was here. I want to extend our condolences to the family of Ronnie Henderson and all the friends watching. Maddie Blaylark's 3 goes in and out. Ronnie very much weaved into the fabric here for Minnesota high school basketball. And some of you may have had a chance to run into him as an official or as a player if you go way back to those days at Marshall U. As I was saying earlier, DeLaSalle, I haven't seen them a ton this season, but the players on the floor, none of them to me scream point guard the way Anisha did. And that isn't to suggest that the players you see aren't any good. I do think you have some players taking on responsibilities they weren't accustomed to for the last several years. But DeLaSalle's ticket remains their defense. Adoko with the steal. Moses, that time led with the elbow, so that's an offensive foul. But with 4:23 left, just not a lot of time for Mahtomedi to make a move. That foul is significant, though, for Moses because that is her 5th. So she will finish with 12 points, and that takes away one of the weapons, one of the centerpieces for the Islanders. We'll see if Mahtomedi can make use of these circumstances. Adoko again, patrolling the paint. But DeLaSalle, soft on the outlet. Blaisdell into the lane. That's what Mahtomedi needs, but they'll need a few more things to go their way. Shafa runs past Pros and will shoot 2. Shafa with 10. And what I find striking about DeLaSalle in this half, their offensive production tapering quite a bit. Only 17 points in this half, now 18. But it looked like they were in position for some bigger numbers. You can point to the ball control. Again, a lot of those unforced errors, the sloppy passes that add up to a litany of turnovers. That seems to remain their biggest sore spots. As Delaney Demmermuth gets the Plinko bounce, 54-41. I just don't think there's enough time here. Grievenhagen finds a cutting Taylor. Foul before the shot. It's on Shepik. Grievenhagen was looking for Blaylark. Pros jumps the route. Now Shepik has nowhere to go. Mahtomedi holding the arrow. That's one of those situational awareness moments for Shepik. Racing down court, presumably looking for a layup. But if it's not there, you don't want to stop with a couple of players trailing behind you. And Mahtomedi throws it away. The Islanders appear in the direction of another victory, their 11th straight. And while that win streak will continue, it may leave some questions heading into Thursday's tilt with Stewartville. Of course, I could be building up all of these question marks for nothing. You can have an ugly game against one opponent, have a brilliant game the next. Blaisdell's fouled, she'll shoot 2. I was chatting with Isa Grievenhagen before the game. I know a few folks on both sides. When you cover this sport for 20 years, you get to know a few people. And Isa talked about some of the ups and downs she and her teammates have encountered over the last several games. As we take another look on that last call, Blaisdell knocks down the front end. Grievenhagen getting some extraction from Ana Garcia, as you see in the far right side of the screen. Mahtomedi will take a timeout. But again, 2:40 left. A few more things would have to go their way. But with DeLaSalle having a hard time hanging on to the ball, it's not impossible. Grace Bros, 25 points. The rest of the team has 18. And we've been talking about the Section 4-3 implications. Well, there's a look. Those are the standings based on QRF. We don't have the numbers on screen, but as I noted before, Hill Murray, they have about a 60-point advantage. And even if you didn't have that available, the head-to-heads, the strength of schedule, quality wins, that does favor Hill Murray. They do have a few in their back pocket. DeLaSalle missed out on those opportunities earlier in the year. Stewartville does give them that last chance. Mahtomedi, as it stands right now, even though they've struggled a bit this year, they are in position to host a first-round game if they end up with the 4 seed. The coaches vote in 3A, at least to my knowledge in this section. So Mahtomedi, they have to strap in, buckle in, and lock down DeLaSalle. Or hope that DeLaSalle commits another unforced error. Adoko, too strong. Taylor there to back her up. Another tie up. The ball did not touch rim, so DeLaSalle with just 10 seconds. Now they'll use a timeout. Grace Pros, another piece of context for you. Her third straight game of 20 or more. In fact, her third straight of 25 or more. She had 25 in the win over South St. Paul and 37 in the game against Tartan, although the Titans sweeping Mahtomedi in the regular season. That hasn't happened in a long time. And 3 more games left for the Zephyrs. North St. Paul, that's on Friday. That should be a winnable game. North St. Paul just the 1 win, and we saw them against Tartan. They have a lot of work to do. 2 Rivers, that could be a tough assignment. Hill Murray definitely will be a tough assignment. So Mahtomedi will face a gauntlet of sorts heading into section play in the final week of February. Each team with 2 timeouts left. Griefenhagen spots Adoko. Issa doing a little bit of everything. Idoko with 15 points to lead the Islanders. Two minutes to go, and not that there was much doubt, but that last bucket by the Islanders should take care of it. Grace Pros missing the 16-footer. And after all the talk and all of the miscues that hampered DeLaSalle throughout this second half, to see Griefenhagen find Adoko and execute a perfectly run ATO play tells you their potential once more. Again, this is a performance that will have them facing a few questions because Stewartville is much higher on the scale of difficulty. The Tigers poised for another deep run. Orno, the team to beat in 3A, as Shepik converts an inbound feed of her own, but just not enough time with 1:12 left. Blaylark double teamed by Pros and Shepik, so Ana Garcia will burn another timeout. Ana, of course, coming in last year, and it happened almost without warning. James Fassett took a college job, Bay College, if memory serves correctly, and Ana rounded up her troops. She had hung around the Hopkins system and also had some AAU experience. And as we noted before, no lack of experience as a player herself. Going all the way to the college level, I believe she played for Crookston. The Islanders, again, Stewartville, the big one. After that, they should get through the rest of the season unscathed. Columbia Heights, they've struggled for a long time. Bloomington Kennedy, They haven't regained the form they once held back in the 2010s, and Visitation taking a step back after Sam Wheels graduated. You may recall Visitation beat DeLaSalle in one of their 2 conference meetings. So the Islanders have a chance to finish out the regular season without a loss. Again, that all depends on how they fare against Stewartville. And they can't turn the ball over at the rate they have tonight if they want to have a good opportunity to score that signature win. Again, injuries haven't helped. Grievenhagen slipping and sliding and scoring. A little icing on her cake. Again, she's done a little of everything. 9 points. That may not scream out or jump out at you, but when you think about the rebounds and the steals, the assists, again, working as that utility woman. And that can go a long way too. DeLaSalle in the bonus, as they will lock up their 11th straight win in 35 seconds. And DeLaSalle effectively holding serve after Layla Moses fouled out. That should be another sign of confidence. DeLaSalle hustling for the loose ball after Shafa missed the front end. Again, it doesn't really matter for the outcome, but it's a reminder that you got to keep playing until that clock reads 0. DeLaSalle can't hold for the last shot here because the shot clock goes to 20 on offensive rebounds and turnovers in the front court. But Anaya Shafa drains the baseline runner. She'll finish with 14 in all likelihood. Blaisdell will have to earn it at the line. Last year, it was a meeting of top 10 teams in the state. This year, it's a battle between DeLaSalle, who is number 9, and the Mahtomedi team establishing the foundation for the future. But we did see some positive developments from the Zephyrs. Grace Prose remaining that explosive anchor, and DeLaSalle, if they can get their defense to dictate action, as Grievenhagen will get one more assist on the play for Taylor. But if DeLaSalle's defense can dictate action, they could make a few surprises, but the Islanders will wrap this one up 62-46 for their 11th straight victory, putting them at 15-6 on the season. Mahtomedi 7-16. It may not be the prettiest or smoothest win for the Islanders, but it's a win they can carry with them into that big meeting with Stewartville approximately 48 hours from now. Mahtomedi 46 on the night. Grace Prose 25, 5 threes. I've said this before. Tonight they did make some strides, and if they're able to continue building on that, parlaying that into bigger developments down the road, especially for Prose's teammates, this could be one of those turning points. Even if it doesn't get them far this season, this is the kind of game that could propel them forward in future seasons. As we take one last look at the highlights, Grace Prose, her 3rd straight game with 25 or more, but it's DeLaSalle who wins the day, 62-46. Onyx Adoko, the leading scorer for the Islanders with 15, and Anaya Shafa 14, Layla Moses with 12. So for the rest of our crew, this is Mike Beaton thanking you for watching live coverage of high school girls basketball on SEC Sports. The Islanders win their 11th straight, 62-46. We're back on Thursday for high school boys basketball at White Bear Lake. Until then, this is Mike Beaton thanking you for watching.